want to go through a few options and what we have for reticles in the R series line. Reticles are personal preference. Some people are very much looking for one thing. We want to let you know what we offer here, and then we'll go through a few details for each of them that might help you maybe consider a new option or look at something else. So first and foremost, all of the R series, R3, R5 rifle scopes are second focal plane reticles. All that means is the reticle will not move as you're moving through the magnification range versus a first focal plane reticle, which will move as you're moving through the magnification range. Other thing to note, all R3 reticles are wire reticles, or meaning they're just built with a literal wire. So they have to be connected, and there can't be any floating elements. R5 is a glass etch reticle, meaning it's etched directly into the glass. So we can do finer details and do things like floating dots and floating elements. For R3, we have a multi-X reticle or your traditional duplex reticle, and then we have a BDC reticle or a bullet drop compensating reticle, which is the DOA QBR. The DOA QBR is a 600-yard BDC reticle that has 5-mile-an-hour wind holds out to 500 yards. So that 600 yards is based on traditional cartridges that we have that are popular in hunting. But to get more accurate, you can use the free Bushnell Ballistic app, which is available for iOS and Android. Set up your profile on there with your specific box load, rifle, whatever you're shooting, and it'll tell you exactly what yardages those drop points equate to. So you'll know exactly, get a quick range card, be able to take that in the field, and as you're ranging, know, all right, I'll get close to this drop point. For rimfire, we have our BDC version for 22, the Drop Zone 22. And that one has drops out to 125 yards, and you can do the same thing with the app, set up your profile, and be able to know exactly with what you're doing, shooting, what those drop points equate to. Now, none of these are illuminated, but if you do want illumination, all R5 rifle scopes are illuminated. They're also glass etched, like I mentioned earlier. So there's a few features that you get in each one. For example, the multi-X, I mentioned is illuminated, but it's illuminated because it has a floating center dot. It's a half MOA dot, and that floating dot is something that you would traditionally see in more competition or tactical rifle scopes. We wanted to bring that over because it just makes it a little bit easier to make sure you're accurate and have the right aim point on your target, because you can see around it. So you can see what you're relative to what you're pointing at and where you are in space. That dot is illuminated, so it kind of acts as a red dot in the field. You also have the BDC option for R5, which is the DOA LRH 800. So the BDC reticle in the R3 was 600 yards. This one goes out to 800 yards. And because of it's a glass etch, we can do cool things like floating dots on each of those points to show a 5-mile-an-hour wind hold and a 10-mile-an-hour wind hold. So just a little bit more information, a little more capability in the R5.
The Bushnell DOA LRH 800 reticle may be used as a range estimation tool. It is calibrated when the magnification is set to 9x. Place the center of the aiming point at the bottom of the ribs just behind the front legs, and note where the top of its back is along the vertical stadia. If you look at these examples, you can see that if the deer is at or above the top of the stadia there at 16 MOA, the deer is within 100 yards. If the back of the deer is at that second line, which is 8 MOA, then the deer is at 200 yards. If it's at the first line, which is 4 MOA, then the deer is at 400 yards. So just a quick way to really understand how far away the deer is.
And then for the 1 to 6, we also have the DD2 QA reticle, which is an MOA-based reticle versus a BDC reticle. So with this one, we've got hashes every 2 MOA out to 22 MOA of elevation. So you can also use the ballistic app for this one and be able to get your exact yardages for those hash marks. The center dot in this one is a 1 MOA reticle, but it also features a 6 MOA outer ring in 4 quadrants that makes it easier at low magnification to get a shot off quickly with a bigger aim point. It's just another kind of cool feature, especially if you're at 1 power and you have something happen as you're walking up to a deer, it'll give you that really quick access aim point. Those are the reticles in the R series. As I mentioned, on the R3, second focal plane, non-illuminated, but you do have a multi-X option. You have the 600-yard DOA QBR BDC reticle, And for rimfire, the Drop Zone 22 BDC reticle. For R5, you have glass-etched second focal plane illuminated reticles with the multi-X with the illuminated floating center dot. You also have the 800-yard DOA LRH BDC reticle. And for the 1 to 6, the DD2 QA MOA-based 22 MOA elevation reticle there, also illuminated. For all the BDC and MOA reticles, you can use the free Ballistic app. So be sure to check that out. And to learn more about the options and configurations available in the R series, go to bushnell.com.